for 10, 15 years.
How old is she?
She's 44.
And whereabouts is she?
She's in a place called Nanning, Naning, in near Shanghai. And I'm going out there on the 24th.
Have you seen each other before now?
Well, photographs, exchanged emails and all that shit. I know all the pitfalls, but you know...
No, I'm not talking out of it. I think it's a terrific idea.
Yeah, I'm 70 years old. If I get in the next 10, 15 years, the rest of my life, out of it, if she gains, good luck to her. As long as she looks after me and all the rest of it. So, all I'm trying to get over to people, is that 60 is not dead, 70 is not dead. For God's sake, don't sit on whatever you've got. Use it.
Thank you very much, Ken. I think that's positive stuff, don't you? I think you should take it to heart. Thanks, Ken. Right, Andy's standing by, wants to talk to us about guardian angels. Pauline's all lined up to talk about mortgages. Derek wants to address the cost of living. I'm right with you on that. Martin's in Belfast. Next up, we're going to be speaking to Sheila from Harlow. I remember a Sheila from Harlow. I said to you, who would you nominate as your band to go in the nominations for the UK Hall of Fame? And this is from Andy on the A14. Well, it was when he sent it. It said, it's got to be U2, best band of all time. And a message from Dom. He said, UK Hall of Fame, Pulp, The Libertines, and Oasis. Okay, I think I can work with that. We'll take a short pause, and Sheila...
Good morning, mate.
Hello, honey, I'll be with you right after this.
On 1089 and 1053 AM and Freeview Channel 723. Talk Sport.
I was just having a tidy up. You know what it gets like? All these pieces of paper generating. Thank you very much for all the electronic mail. And thanks for all the calls today. It's absolutely terrific. Sheila used to listen to me in another time, another place. Hello, Sheila.
Morning, Mike.
So, how do you find yourself?
Pardon?
How do you find yourself? How are you doing?
Awake as normal, as I have been for 30 years. Mike, are you the Mike Allen that used to be, do phone-ins every night? I think it was Capital Radio.
No, don't mention the other radio station. They get, don't mention the other radio station. They get...
Sorry.
Why, yes.
Well, shall I say 30 years ago?
30 years ago? Yeah, well, it could be, yeah.
Huh?
It could be.
Do you remember a thing called Dial-A Late Night 78?
Dial-A Late Night 78? No, it wasn't me.
Huh?
It wasn't me. What, did you phone up and they played you a 78 record? No. The last time I played with 78 records was when I was about 3 or 4, and the couple next door gave me their record player, and I was sitting playing records from another era, and my mother said, "This is probably what you're going to do for a living." My mother said, "This is probably what you're going to do for a living."
Oh, yeah.
And she was right. Yeah. But you used to listen to me at another radio station. I recognise your name.
You, about 30 years ago, you used to give out the phone number for a woman that used to do that.
Yes.
That was me.
Yes. Well,
I recognised your voice.
Oh, well, thank you. So it hasn't altered.
Huh?
It hasn't altered.
No, I've got your photograph. I
expect
that's altered a bit.
Might have done, yes.
Yeah, no, I'm an old wrinkly now, and living in Harlow the last 21 years. What I was going to say about the gentleman with toothache.
Yes.
If he has a hole in his tooth, get a small piece of bread, chew it up well, and bung it in the hole.
Small piece of bread, chew it up, and use it like decorator's paste in the hole. Colin in Carluke got in touch with us again. He said for the person with toothache, could always consider pliers. He's a dark person, that Colin. There's a dark side to him. I think he'll go far. He'll probably be in the finance business. Yeah.
It's lovely to hear you, Mike.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I'm here for this week and a little bit of next week.
Good.
So all you have to do is pick up the phone and give me a call. Do you listen to talkSPORT normally? You do you?
Yeah, I do, because it's the only phone-in one I can find during the night.
Yes.
Mm.
Well, the nice thing about calling here is it's national.
Because from that phone-in that we did, participated in together, shall we say, 30-odd years ago, I met lots of interesting people. Including having to go to the Old Bailey once, yeah?
Once the Old Bailey?
Mm.
That's slamming the phone down really hard, isn't it?
Huh?
That's slamming the phone down really hard.
I can't really say what it was about.
At 14,000 feet, the search is getting bigger all the time as we're being covered with millions of tons of space dust every year. Interesting, isn't it? I wouldn't have thought about that. Martin's in Belfast. Hello, Martin.
Mike, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm got paper coming at me from every direction.
Listen, the only reason I phoned was because I just watched the film Fahrenheit 9/11 by Michael Moore. I don't know why you've seen it or not, have you?
Oh, yes.
Can I ask your honest opinion on it, please?
I think there's two. There's Fahrenheit 9/11. There's Bowling Columbine.
No, the other one.
And there's another one.
911. Fahrenheit 9/11.
Yeah. I've seen one of them. I can't remember which one, but I generally speaking, it's just the truth, and it's just observations that make you think absolutely gobsmackingly, how could this happen?
Well, the Fahrenheit 9/11 one took my breath away, to be quite honest with you. It was a sad indictment of American politics on foreign land.
Yeah.
And what they are doing to people over there in Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, etc.
Well, if you heard the British Prime Minister talking to the Trades Union Congress, I don't know if you saw that on the news, and he was, when they were protesting and holding up their banners this weekend, he was saying the reason they were there is because the governments had asked them to go to Afghanistan and also to go to Iraq.
You sound like a right-thinking, sound fella. Like, I've never heard you before, but you sound like you know what you're talking about. But the crux of that film was, war is good for big business. I mean, who
absolutely.
Who?
Yeah, this is the film that drew your attention to one thing. That it's the reconstruction of Iraq, which seems to be the cherry on the top of the cream sundae. Yeah, I saw it, absolutely. The last radio station I worked at had a security company upstairs from it. You know, nothing to do with the radio station. And every week you'd see guys that were obviously very, very fit. You know, they didn't come bare-chested, but you just knew that they had a chest, six-pack. Very fit, sun-tanned and everything. And they were going out to Iraq all the time, coming for jobs, just being checked out and sent off, private security and things like that. And these guys that looked like they were sort of captain, the rank of captain or something like that, around about 28, 29, 30.
Yeah, but, like, I don't know, it got me in my heart, when people are dying over there, and the people in America that voted this Egypt, Bush in, I mean, who voted him in,
Well,
the guy's just in Egypt, as far as I'm concerned.
You'll find there's very few people who are going to put their hand up and say it was me, sir.
What do you think of him?
What do I think of him?
I think we're in a worrying state that he's got his last term and anything could happen, really.
Yeah, what has he got? He's got about 2.5 years left, doesn't he?
It's his last term.
Yes, that's what I mean, but it's a 4-year term, and I think he's got 2.5 years left, maybe 2 years left. But he can't come back after this. I have to find somebody else. But it's a rotten situation, Martin, but the world has forever had rotten situations, and that doesn't excuse it, but it just means we've had rotten situations. And this whole system has to be resolved, otherwise it won't be safe to travel anywhere. Call us again, Martin. Thanks very much indeed. You're listening to Talk Sport. I'm Mike Allen. It's just 15 minutes away from 4 o'clock, and I'm just having a little peek here. I think we'll have a little commercial, shall we? That'll be all right with you, John. Thanks very much.
You can hear a lot more with DAB digital radio, and prices start at under £50.
Did I hear what I think I heard? How many neighbours will you snitch upon who use a hose pipe in their garden?
Find out how much more you could hear with a DAB digital radio at lovemyradio.com. 3 million people already have one. You should be next. www.lovemyradio.com.
I can hear you!
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Eagle has landed.
The mother of all talk shows, George Galloway on Talk Sport.
This is a deadly serious matter.
Their own case for war collapsed.
I have directed the armed forces to prepare for any eventuality. Did it really happen the way they said it did?
But I just wanted to pick you up on one point.
I did tell the government.
Collective confrontation and political agitation across the nation.
The battle has been joined.
George Galloway.
Take our case to the cut.
Every Saturday and Sunday night from 8.
So the eyes have it.
On Talk Sport.
I'm Mike Allen, sitting in for Ian Collins and Chessie. Yes, what a bonus to get me instead of just two. We were talking about animals that a certain animal support group would like to release into the wild around Cumberland and north of Scotland. Wolves, bison, moose, otherwise known as elk. I said wolves, didn't I? And there's other ones. Oh yes, the lynx. This is all highly irregular. Talking of dodgy animals, says Reg. Michael, did you happen to hear that women, or one particular woman who was set upon by a whole bunch of grey squirrels, about a dozen or so of them, they were jumping all over her, snapping at her while her horrified husband tried frantically to beat them off with his walking stick. It must have presented an odd spectacle to any passer-by. Apparently these attacks by vicious squirrels are not all that uncommon. Don't think you're frightening me, Reg. Just that when I dash from here to the train station in a minute or so, just a mere 2 hours, I shall rejoice in the fact I'm wearing high heels. Derek's in Carlisle. Hello, Derek.
Good morning, Mike.
Welcome to Talk Sport. What can I do for you?
No, it's just listening to some of your callers and that, phoning about debt, cost of living, etc., etc.
Sure.
I think I actually got made redundant from a job in 2004. It was a very well-paid job, and since then, my income has been on a sharp decline. The job I'm in now, it certainly doesn't pay well as that job that I had in 2004, so obviously it's had a knock-on effect in everything in my life, and with the way the sort of energy costs are going through the roof, motoring costs are going through the roof, I'm a lot worse off now than I was even before 2004, because I had that job for about 8 years, and trying to make ends meet and things like that. I've got 3 kids, a dog, a car. Obviously things are just, they've came ahead in the last wee while, but I do listen to some of the people phoning in, and you think they're at the edge of despair, really. I don't want to let it engulf me like some of them do. I try to work out things. I try to earn a wee bit more money, maybe take on maybe a second job or something like that, but you can only have so many hours in the day.
Yeah, and also, I also pick up from friends of mine that are having a bit of a tough time, because in this industry, you know, it could be slings and arrows of outrageous fortune.
Yep.
And you start to feel guilty, you know, that you've let people down, you're letting the family down.
Yep.
And it's not you half the time. So, is that true of you in your situation?
Oh, see, sometimes in a way, mate, sometimes I feel ashamed in a way, because if you had said to me, or if I'd said to myself 5 years ago, where would I like to be in 5 years' time?
I wouldn't have liked to be thought that I was going to be trying to save every penny. You know what I mean? It's just I would have liked to see that maybe that, because I think one of the major things that Labour come in, they say they're going to have more leisure time. They're going to be doing this, but to actually earn the money that I need to actually live, I'm working probably all the hours under the sun that I legally can do. You know what I mean? And the job that I'm in, and probably there's a lot more lorry drivers are driving down the road, will know that yourself, but there seem to be more restrictions coming out of the hours you can work.
Sure.
Pretty soon we're all going to be having to lease new digital tachograph cards that is going to take every account of everything we do in that.
Do you think it'll have a camera and a mobile phone on it?
Mate, see, to tell you the truth, we're probably going through one of the most. People keep on saying about red tape about everything you do. You'll not be allowed to do this. You'll not be allowed to do that. But where is this leisure time that this mob promised when they first come into power?
Well, I suspect that leisure time is called unemployment.
The thing is, mate, look at we've got the immigrants coming from Eastern Europe because obviously these are legitimate immigrants coming in through the EU sort of thing and that. But have you seen that documentary? It was on the television the other night. The amount of Poles that are sleeping rough in London.
Yes.
It's unbelievable. So, how's that been any benefit?
Well, I tell you what's really strange. In Poland at the moment, they've got a shortage of labour. And there really aren't the people to do the work.
See, the thing is, I was doing a job where I was actually delivering to vegetable processing plants in Scotland, and I would guarantee you that 60 to 70% of the workforce in these processing plants were all immigrant workers. And I got to know a couple of them, and the most genuine people you'd never meet in your life, by the way, mate. They were very hard-working people, and as I was talking to one of the Scottish foremen, he says, the reason we've got them here, Derek, is because the locals don't want to do the work. They don't want to come in and do it for the minimum wage to get them peel tomatoes or sort out lettuces and cabbages and things. They don't want to work for £5.60 an hour. But these people here are hard working. They're not under it. You hear a lot of these ones now. My brother stays down in Norfolk about these people working in the fields down there with the gangmasters for a pittance. These people are up there working for the minimum wage. They're putting in long hours and that. Very, very hard-working people, decent people. And it's all because that the locals will get off their arse and come off the brew to work for the they were paying. And that's why they had to bring them in, Mike.
Yeah, it's the one theme that's been running through this morning's conversations, Derek, whether it's here, whether it's in China, wherever, we're talking about a shift in balance, and it's moving, and it sadly seems to move before we can be adjusted to fit in with the movement.
Everything seems to be. It's a wee bit slipshod as well. Everything's just come down on top of us now, and as you know, there's a lot of manual labour that the Polish people are in. Now we're going to be having the Romanians, Bulgarians are going to be coming in. If you've got thousands of Poles sleeping rough in the streets of London now, what's it going to be like in a year's time when the rest of the migrant population of these other East European countries come in?
Can't tell you, Derek, can't tell you. But I wonder if their countries are going to start putting a block on their freedom to come to another territory, whether they're part of the European Union or not. Judging, by the way, from calls earlier, it seems a big chunk of the audience this morning, not all, but a big chunk, will be very happy to see us out of the European Union. Well, give me a call and tell me what your feels are. Yes? Okay. Right. The only group to epitomise my generation must be included in the UK Hall of Fame. Got to be The Who, hasn't it, my generation? That's Bob from Bolton. Thanks for your call, Bob. Thanks for supporting the programme. Hello, Mike from Gary in Portsmouth. Hello, Gary. Gary said, I want to ask if your listeners think our politicians are under the control of secret societies. Do you think our politicians, asked Gary, are under the control of secret society? And then Lewis in London got in touch. He said, you were saying about this Rolling Stones song, Give Me Shelter. The high-pitched backing vocals on Give Me Shelter is Keith Richards, sped up. Really? How do they do that live, then? I mean, the Stones couldn't be that hard up for some backing singers. Or perhaps they were. You're listening to talkSPORT. I'm Mike Allen. Alan Brazil's Sport Breakfast, complete with Graham Beecroft, opens its doors at 6 o'clock. I was doing two things at once there, and neither of them well. Hello, Andy. Live from Bolton. You're on talkSPORT. Hello.
Hi, Mike. I'll also make this short and sweet, because
All
of
right.
time. I thought I heard a lady talk about guardian angels, and what I'm going to tell you is I've never actually told this to anybody. Basically, going back about 5 or 6 years ago, I used to ride a motorbike, and I'd gone with my then girlfriend to do some shopping in our local town, and it's, you know, it's like typical Lancashire market there and everything. Anyway, she goes in the main part of the market, and I sit down outside, and it's been raining, it's been damp, and I'm having a cigarette, and I'm just kind of like sort of, you know, staring at the floor, not really taking them, and all of a sudden, there was a little girl in front of me. I'd say she was about 7 or 8, and when I looked at her, she was dressed old-fashioned. I can't really describe what it was like. She had lovely long hair, and she had something tucked in her pocket, or the inside of her coat, and she said hello, and I'm, you know, hello, how are you? And she was talking to me, which I found a bit unusual. And I said, what, you know, what are you doing? And she said, I've been into the town centre, she said, and I've gone to rescue this bird, she said, because it's not very well, it's got a broken wing. And when she opened the jacket, there was a little pigeon there. I couldn't believe it.
Really?
I thought, how nice. I mean, how unusual in this day and age. And she had lovely, I remember her having blue eyes.
Mm.
And I can't describe what, it all happened in such a, I can't say, I was quite amazed at what I was seeing. And she was talking to me, and then all of a sudden she said, right, goodbye. And she sort of walked off, and she sort of left me in sort of a daze. And when I looked for her in the crowd, I couldn't see her. I mean, you know, it might have just been something and nothing, but it was really unusual. I mean, if you go in the local town centre, yeah, the pigeons will come within a certain region, but I should imagine trying to grab hold of one of these things. It's practically impossible, but...
Well, we've got someone on the programme this week talking about guardian angels.
She didn't actually do anything for me personally, but it's just the way that she just appeared there as though, you know, I mean, and she was dressed like, another unusual thing, sort of a long grey dress on, a long grey skirt, which, you know, I mean, I think a lot of the modern kids, they tend to like, I think, you know, I mean, I brought up a little girl of roughly her age, and still like sports stuff, you know, trainers and stuff, and...
Yeah.
But that's what I can tell you about it. It was most unusual, and I think this is actually probably the first time I've ever spoke about it, because it stayed on my mind for years, and, you know, I can see her now, and she just sort of walked off. She wasn't with anybody.
Tell me, did she have an accent that sounded as if she weren't part of, because you're in Bolton, I don't know, was this in Bolton?
Yeah, well, it's probably, the accent is roughly, you know, a bit like Fred Didmer or pt.5, I suppose, that's near as damn it.
And did she have a Bolton accent?
Well, it's quite a while ago, but I don't know really, but she was very, very clearly spoken. She was a gentle child, and she's the most unusual child. I can't really describe her. She was like sort of... she had distinct blue eyes, I remember that, and the long hair, and this coat, this jacket, and I think the thing that got me more than anything was sort of the long skirt she had on, because, you know, I mean, the girls haven't worn skirts like that since I was at school. And
well, maybe she was from the Victorian era and she went through a time slip. Maybe that was it. Andy, we've got to move on. Thanks very much for the call. Pauline, going to speak to you in just a few minutes. Senna was the best driver of all. This is from Les on the M4. He used to overtake on the track, not in the pit lane. Fat Les. Okay, Fat Les, thank you very much. If you'd like to be calling the programme, it's 08704 20 20 20, or text 81089, 81089. That's not a bird, is it? Or maybe you could email me, talksport.net. I'm Mike Allen. This is talkSPORT. A chance to look autism in the face and know the facts. In just a moment, after the news, we're going to be talking to Kaufman, who's the International Autism Treatment Specialist and Director of the Autism Treatment Center of America. You'll probably want to write down some details, such as a phone number or an email address, so get yourself a piece of paper and a pen, and I'll tell you more after the news. This is talkSPORT.
On 1089 and 1053 AM.
The country should know of it.
Around the world.
То, что я располагаю.
Around the clock.
One small step for man.
From the Sky News Centre. Talk Sport on the Hour News.
The top stories from the Sky News Centre at 4.
On 1089 and 1053 AM. Talk Sport.
Just recently I heard an interview from Sigourney Weaver. She is appearing in a film called Snowcape. In it she plays a woman who suffers from autism. About 1 in 100 people have a form of autism. I'm talking about children on that statistic, by the way. So when I heard that Ron Kaufman was on a tour, and he was formerly suffering from autism and has led the way to become an inspirational speaker, I thought we've got to talk to him, because it's no coincidence that both these folks are in town at the same date. So, Ron, can you in some way describe autism, what it's like from inside your head looking out?
Well, the thing to understand about autism, it's often seen as a behavioral issue where we have to get these kids to change their behavior. Mm-hmm. But what it is in actuality is it's a difficulty in children or adults in actually forming relationships and interpersonal connections with other people. Now, there's a lot of things that go along with that. For instance, a lot of children have sensory processing disorders, with that meaning they see and hear and even feel things very differently than us. I know that when I was little and I had autism, I would see things visually quite differently than I do now and than the rest of us do. And so ultimately what that then looks like is a lot of these children don't interact, don't have eye contact. Some don't have verbal communication. When I was little, I had absolutely no verbal communication. And they often do repetitive activities over and over again. One of the things I would do is rock back and forth and flap my hands in front of my face, literally for hours at a time. So the reason why this is important to understand is because, number one, when we see these children are brilliant, and they do what they do for a reason, and oftentimes it looks nonsensical to us, but there's some real valid reason why they're doing what they're doing. And that's why the best way to help these children is, rather than trying to force them to conform to a world that they don't yet understand, we start by joining them in their world first.
Now, this Sunrise program, which was developed by your parents, has put you in a position where you can talk about the transition you experience from being autistic to being as you are today.
Yes, I mean, it's amazing when I think about it, because, you know, I had this tested IQ of less than 30. The doctors are telling my parents, I'll never speak, I'll never communicate. They should just put me in an institution where I can be properly taken care of. And my parents, in the face of all of that, they took me home. They really turned their backs on these prognoses, and they developed their own home-based child-centered program where they worked with me for a little bit over 3 years. And at the end of that period, as you say, I recovered completely from my autism without any trace of my former condition, and, you know, went on to live a normal life and graduated with a degree in biomedical ethics from Brown University. And what's wonderful is now, as the director of the Autism Treatment Center of America, you know, in Massachusetts, in America, I get to help parents and children in the very same way that my parents helped me.
I wanted to remind folks that there is no fee to come along to any of your appearances, and we have a website and a telephone